Welcome to another episode of BS. Okay, so we got a lot of things to talk about today. A lot of topics, a lot of news. Let's get into it. Man, it's been a while it's been a week since I last uploaded an episode. A lot of things happened. Alright, let's get into our first topic. So, if you don't know, the Ravens, they got 4 quarterbacks on their roster. All 4 of those quarterbacks are all should be a starter on an NFL team. Now, this begs the question, what are they going to do with so much talent at the quarterback position? They got 4 starting quarterbacks on their roster. It's insane. They got, obviously, a starter, former MVP from last season. We got Lamar Jackson. Then second string is RG3. Currently, also, Trace McSorley is third string, and I've been a big advocate for Trace McSorley. And you got the new guy, the new rookie, Tyler Huntley. Now, all 4 of these guys are going to be starters. They all still have starting caliber. They got starting caliber talent. RG3 still has starter caliber talent. Trace McSorley right now is meant to be a starter. If I'm ranking these guys based on right now, like talent-wise, I got number 1, obviously, Lamar. Number 2, Trace McSorley. Number 3, RG3. Number 4, Tyler Huntley, currently at this state. Now, I'm not saying Trace McSorley should be the second-string quarterback of the Ravens because Lamar Jackson still needs that mentorship, like that backup mentorship. You know what I mean? So, RG3 should still be the backup to Lamar Jackson as long as possible. To be honest, I think RG3 still got it in him. I think he could still be a starter for a real solid NFL team. He could be the Lamar Jackson for another NFL team. He's only, I believe, 30 years old. He's still got a lot left in him. He does. And, yeah, I honestly, I think RG3 could still be a starter, but I don't think any team believes in him right now. They're not even sure if he can still stay healthy. He's one of the best backups in the league, no doubt about that. But I'm talking about starter. Like, is he going to start anywhere? I don't think any team is going to give him a chance currently right now. So I think he's going to remain the starting backup to Lamar Jackson. But begs the question about Trace McSorley and Tyler Huntley. Where are their plans? What's going to happen with them? Well, that's kind of tough. I feel like the Ravens are going into the direction of Tyler Huntley to be the third-string quarterback because he's basically like a Lamar Jackson, sort of. He's like as fast as Lamar Jackson, but he's not as good as a thrower of the arm. But I feel like he has that starting caliber talent in him. Right now, currently, he's really good. He's not really good. He's okay. He would be okay if he started right now in the NFL. But I think he still needs at least a year to sit out for him to become really, really, really good. You know what I mean? To be honest, I really see a lot of potential in Tyler Huntley. I like the kid. He seems really cool. Now, Trace McSorley. Trace McSorley is on a whole other story. I got 3 things to say about Trace McSorley. 1, okay, don't hate me for saying this. Trace McSorley is a better thrower than Lamar Jackson.
What the hell did you just say?
He's a better thrower than Lamar Jackson.
Boy, have you lost your mind? Because I'll help you find it. What you're looking for, ain't nobody going to help you out there. Jesus can come through that door and he's not going to help you.
I can already hear you guys hating me, all right? I can hear the screams. I can hear the angry Lamar Jackson fans because every popular player has their fan base. I've got threats from Cam Newton fans and Dak Prescott fans and Tom Brady fans a couple times too. I heard a couple crybabies in my comment section before, but I'm not like that big of a YouTuber or anything, but I still get a couple. I get a lot of views. To me, I think it's a lot, 90 views. I get 90 views per episode, and I get a couple comments here and there that get deleted because I respond back to them and they don't like what I gotta say because I know I'm right about certain things, but. I can already hear the Lamar Jackson fans crying in the comment section right now that I think Trace McSorley is a better thrower than Lamar Jackson. But I feel bad for him. Like he said in multiple interviews that he wants to be a quarterback, but at this point, he's willing to play any position. I don't want him to give up his quarterback position. I don't want him to become a wide receiver. He's a really, really good thrower of the ball. And the main reason why I'm talking about this is because what are the Ravens going to do? They need to – I don't even know what they're going to do with this much talent at quarterback. Like, it's insane the amount of talent that they have. They got Lamar Jackson, obviously. He's not going anywhere. RG3, I don't think he's going to go anywhere either. But RG3, I hope he becomes a starter one day again. I mean, right now it's cool and all to be a backup, but he still has starting caliber talent. But I think he's the third best quarterback on that roster. But currently, Trace McSorley is better than RG3, and I don't know if any NFL teams have any interest in him. Like maybe, I don't even know. Trace McSorley could be one of the better quarterbacks in the league if he ends up on the starting roster, because he's a much better thrower than Lamar Jackson, but then he also has his legs. He's still pretty fast. You know what I mean? I mean, he's not anywhere close to Lamar Jackson fast, but I mean, he's pretty fast though. So I hope he gets a chance to start somewhere as a starting quarterback. I don't know. I just don't want him to give up that quarterback position, because he's like, I guess at this point I'll play any position to help my team win. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, come on, man. Come on, someone help him out. You know what I mean? Someone trade for him so he can start as a quarterback, because I don't want to see him start as any other position. I'm sure he could probably adjust to the wide receiver position eventually, but currently, right now, Trace McSorley is a better thrower than Lamar Jackson, and then he can also run. He's pretty accurate. He was one of the best Penn State quarterbacks of all time. You know what I mean? Him and Saquon, and then Miles Sanders too. You know what I mean? And you got the receivers who he threw to an okay receiving corps. You know what I mean? His arm is pretty good to be an NFL starter. I just don't see why a team shouldn't give him a chance to start. He has a lot of potential. You know what I mean? And I hope he starts somewhere. I really do. He was one of the better quarterbacks coming out of the draft. I think right now he's way better than Dwayne Haskins is. Way better. Man, if he was drafted by the Jaguars, I'm sure we would been having the same discussion about. I think he's like as good as Kyler Murray, Gardner Minshew. You know what I mean? He's way better than Dwayne Haskins. Way better. I don't think he's as good as Drew Lock is at this point. I think he's as good as Gardner Minshew. Yeah. I think he's as good as Gardner Minshew, because right now, currently, Drew Lock is better than Gardner Minshew and Kyler Murray, but last year he was not. So I feel like he was starting last year. I think he would have done great with the Jaguars. I don't think he would have been better. I think he's as good as Gardner Minshew. You know what I mean? And he has that potential to be like Gardner Minshew. His deep ball is accurate. He's just very accurate, very clean. Doesn't throw too many picks. I see him. I hope he starts somewhere one day. I really do. He could be one of the better quarterbacks in this league. And I'm rooting for him, and I'm rooting for Tyler Huntley too, because he deserves to be a starter one day too, and somewhere else. But he's not going to be a starter with the Ravens. I don't think Trace McSorley is better than Lamar Jackson. Throwing wise, he is, but running the ball, the way they run the ball is like nothing I've ever seen. I love Vic. I really love Michael Vick, one of my all-time favorite players. Once I do a top 10 favorite players of all time list, he's definitely in that list. But Lamar Jackson runs better than Michael Vick ever did. His play style is something I've never seen. So, yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson deserves to be a starting quarterback of the Ravens, but I don't want to see Tyler Huntley turn into that Taysom Hill type of role, and I don't want to see Trace McSorley turn into that Taysom Hill type of role. I could see RG3 being turned into that type of role, but I feel like he's going to get injured being that kind of position. So, I don't know. I think they have a serious problem on their hands, because they can't keep all four, because they're wasting their time and talent. You know what I mean? Ooh, even better idea. Why not Trace McSorley or Tyler Huntley join the XFL? Because I'm pretty sure it's going to come back with a different owner and all that other bull jive. But I really think I think they could succeed extremely well in the XFL. Tyler Huntley and Trace McSorley. Just look at PJ Walker. Trace McSorley could be another PJ Walker. Seriously, he could win XFL MVP. Trace McSorley is that good. He's really, really good, and I hope he gets a chance to start somewhere. My pick, personally, I think he should be the backup to Nick Foles until Nick Foles is like, yo, peace, I'm out. You know what I mean? Because Nick Foles isn't going to be like there for 9 or 10 years. Trace McSorley, I feel like that's a good. I feel like Nick Foles can start for like 3 years and then eventually switch to Trace McSorley. You know what I mean? So they have a serious problem. I don't know if they're going to trade away some of their players, but they got a serious problem on their hands. Wow, I think they're like the best quarterback core in the NFL, like best talent-wise quarterbacks. So, yeah, all in all, they got a serious problem. They got 4 starting caliber quarterbacks. That's insane. That's insane. All right, moving on to topic number 2. All right, so I recently saw an interview with the head coach of the Dolphins, Brian Flores, and someone brought up a question about Josh Rosen, and he didn't really have an answer for it. He didn't have an answer. Are they going to release him at the end of this year? Because quite honestly, I don't know what's his deal. I don't know where he's going to go. I don't know. Is he even a solid backup right now? Like, we haven't really seen. I don't want to say everything that we've seen from Josh Rosen is his fault, because he's been bad. Everything we saw, it's just all been bad. He looks uncomfortable being in the pocket. He's been behind awful offensive lines. He's a real pocket passer, and if you don't have a good pocket, then what are you doing? You know what I mean? So where is he going to go? I just don't see any NFL team willing to have him on his roster. I mean, right now, he's the 3rd string quarterback, even possibly the 2nd string if they decide to keep him on the roster and not have Tua start next year. Because he's not the answer to offense. Brian Flores doesn't even sound confident. Like, yeah, he refers to him as a backup. He doesn't refer to him as a possible future NFL quarterback, future NFL starter for their franchise. You know what I mean? So where is he going to go? Maybe the Vikings? I don't know. He needs a lot of time. Someone needs to believe in Josh Rosen so he can believe in himself and he can believe in the system and actually be a good leader. Because I feel like he needs to feel comfortable. Right now, he doesn't feel comfortable in any situation he's been given in. He's switching offensive coordinators, switching head coaches, learning systems on the spot. I mean, no wonder why he's a mess. And this is like his 2nd year. You know what I mean? Like, the amount of stress has been put on this kid is incredible. You know what I mean? So I can see why NFL teams don't want him, because he's a slow quarterback. He's not Kyler Murray, or he's not a Ryan Fitzpatrick. Even Ryan Fitzpatrick at his age, 36, he's more mobile than Josh Rosen. So where's Josh Rosen going to go? Is he going to be the successor to Ben Roethlisberger? I don't know. And I kind of feel bad for him. I feel like he could be a good leader if he's on an NFL team that believes in him and he's surrounded by great talent. I mean, is he better than Dak Prescott? I think he is. I think he has the potential to be better than Dak Prescott. But I don't know. I don't know where he could possibly go. He could go to the Vikings. He could go to the Steelers. But right now, I'm not labeling him as a bust yet. Because everything I saw glimpses of success in horrible offenses. I really had. So I'm not going to call him a bust yet. And I don't think his career is over. I just want to see him in a good system with a good locker room. You know what I mean? But people are saying they gave him time after time after time. No, they've given him bad, and then they've given him worse, and then they just completely forgotten about him. That's Josh Rosen's treatment in the NFL so far. Man, I think he should have declined to go to the Cardinals. Like, man, he should pull the Eli Manning when he got selected by the Cardinals. I think he would have succeeded extremely well in with the Bills. I think he would have done really well if he got selected by the Bills. You know what I mean? Because he has a good arm. His accuracy is pretty good, but it's just a lot of issues, like with bad offensive line, bad receiving core, bad this. Like, you know what I mean? He's gotten a lot of bad things. And yes, other quarterbacks have done better with those bad things, but they've actually tried to help him. You know what I mean? So, like when the Dolphins first started, like when the Dolphins was with Rosen, they didn't know who they were going to be yet. And they finally kicked things into gear halfway through the season. You know what I mean? So, Josh Rosen hasn't been gifted with the best things. Like a lot of quarterbacks in this league, they're gifted with a bunch of great receiving talent, a great offensive line. He got gifted with crap and more crap. So I'm not going to label him as a bust yet, but I'm not labeling him as a success yet either. He has the potential to be good, but I just don't see any NFL team taking interest in him because he's not a mobile quarterback. Because that's the evolution of the quarterback right now, is to be mobile. And if you're not mobile, then they're not really going to, like, at least a little bit mobile. You know what I mean? So, I mean, even Nick Foles is faster than him, you know? Josh Rosen is just straight pocket passer. He's nothing more than just that. So, yeah, all in all, I don't want to label him as a bust, but what's going on with him is just, you know, it's really up in the air. If a team really wants to believe in him and go all in on him, then that's good. You know, maybe he could go with the Vikings or maybe the Steelers. That's like the two teams I could see him going to, like straight pocket passing quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins and Ben Roethlisberger. I think he would succeed in their system because their goal is to be pocket passing offenses. You know what I mean? They're not schemed to be mobile quarterbacks. So I could see him possibly going to the Vikings or Steelers, but that's what's pretty much going on with Josh Rosen. Now he has no future with the Dolphins, and maybe he'll have a future somewhere else if someone believes in him. All right, so our final topic of the day. I don't know why this is even in a discussion. Why this quarterback is even in the quarterback battle discussion. So people are putting Brian Hoyer's name into the starting quarterback going into next year. A lot of analysts, even a couple of my friends, think Brian Hoyer could be the starting quarterback for New England going into next year. Now, I haven't been a fan of Brian Hoyer since like at least 2017. Brian Hoyer's arm is pathetic. His accuracy is pathetic. The only time he strives really good is with New England, and everyone does really good when they're with New England. Even last year, Brian Hoyer, when he was with the Colts and he subbed in for Jacoby Brissett for a few games, Brian Hoyer was not good at all. He threw bad passes. He threw passes into double covers. He can't throw a deep ball. His arm is so weak. He's not mobile. There's nothing really good to say about Brian Hoyer. He threw 3 touchdowns to 1 interception against, he threw all short throws. They were all easy throws. They were all easy throws, and the receivers had to work really hard to catch those passes. And then the next game against the Dolphins, he threw 1 touchdown to 3 interceptions. That's awful. How do you throw 3 interceptions to the Dolphins, man? Now, Brian Hoyer is not in the quarterback battle discussion. I don't know why people were putting his name out there. I don't know who started that rumor, but everyone's believing that rumor. Someone actually believes that Brian Hoyer is going to beat out Jarrett Stidham. Now, is he going to beat out Cam Newton? I think Cam Newton is better than Brian Hoyer. He's definitely better than Brian Hoyer, but at least he can stay healthy. Cam Newton can't stay healthy. He can't. So that's why I think he could possibly be the second string quarterback. So, or third string quarterback, because I think Brian Lewerke could be a better option than Brian Hoyer. Anyway, Brian Hoyer, he's not good. he's not a starting caliber quarterback at all. He does know the system, but every year he's getting worse and worse with that system, and somehow he's just okay in that system at this point. That's not good. How do you not do well in the Patriots' offensive schemes and system? I don't want to say it's a simple system, but I mean, it's an easy system to pick up, and a lot of quarterbacks strive in that system. Even Drew Bledsoe strived in that system, So Drew Bledsoe wasn't the worst, but when he was starting to go into his decline, and you could really tell Drew Bledsoe when he played with Bill Belichick, he did pretty good in that system. You know what I mean? Matt Castle did amazing. He didn't do amazing, but I mean, he did good in that system. You know what I mean? So average to good quarterbacks can usually do pretty well in that system. And you could say the same case for Andy Reid's system. You know what I mean? That's another head coach where quarterbacks do really well in that system, So I don't know what we're talking about, schemes and systems and stuff. No, I'm talking about Brian Hoyer. He is not in the starting quarterback conversation. I think it's time for him to retire. His arm is pathetic, one of the worst, and he lets the ball out way too early. He throws it into triple, double coverage. I'm done. Brian Hoyer is not a good backup quarterback anymore. I think he should have retired years ago. I don't even know why he's still around. Why did Bill Belichick even pick him up again? Did Bill Belichick see what he did last year? That wasn't good. So all in all, Brian Hoyer, not even in the quarterback competition, not even in the discussion for him to be a starting quarterback. I would be amazed if he ends up on the final starting roster coming to day one of the NFL season, regular season. I would be amazed if he ends up on the roster somehow. I don't even know why he's still in the NFL. I don't think he's a good quality backup quarterback anymore. He hasn't been for a while. Yeah, I'm done with Brian Hoyer. All right, moving on. Moving on to the news. All right, we're moving on to the news. Oh, boy. All right. Our first news of the day is pretty much what everyone's been talking about for the past week. Patrick Mahomes got a record-breaking 10-year deal. 10 freaking years. Oh, my goodness. That's insane. That's insane. Worth $500 million, averaging $45 million per year. Okay. I got a lot of things to say about this. Most importantly, what a nice, generous offer. What a nice, generous deal for Patrick Mahomes. Now, he could have completely destroyed the Chiefs' cap salary. He could have asked for even $70 million, and I think he would have gotten that. I think he would have gotten $70 million if he asked for it. I think 45 is extremely, extremely generous. Like, if he wanted even, I thought he was going to get like $40 million. 45, that's pretty cheap for Patrick Mahomes. From what he accomplished, that's a lot less than what he should have gotten. Because right now, I feel like the new average, I feel like Deshaun Watson will get more money than Patrick Mahomes. Because 45 right now, because of the cap, and the cap keeps going up, I feel like 45 is extremely generous, especially for 10 years. And when the cap keeps going up, the money keeps going up. So by the time like 10 years down the road, $45 million is going to be worth like $25 million today. Like Patrick Mahomes' deal in 10 years is going to be worth like Teddy Bridgewater's deal. Teddy Bridgewater got $20 million for 3 years. So you know what I mean? So Patrick Mahomes was really, really, really generous, and I commend him for that so much. He's doing the Tom Brady move, getting less to win more, and even said it in an interview himself. He said it in an interview. It wasn't about the money. It's about winning Super Bowls, about winning games, and I give that man a round of applause. I couldn't be more proud to call Patrick Mahomes one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Like, he's accomplishing things that quarterbacks take years upon years to accomplish. Winning Super Bowl MVP, throwing for 50 freaking touchdowns in his starting debut, and winning a Super Bowl and winning MVP and getting money, winning it all. He's got it all, hasn't he? Now here's where I get a little worried. Well, for two things. One, quarterbacks with 10 years on their contract, they don't particularly 10 or more years. They don't particularly play out their whole contract. Something always ends up happening bad, or something just does go wrong, or something doesn't always work out when a quarterback is signed for 10 years. Notable examples that Donovan McNabb, Dante Culpepper, Brett Favre. I think there is a few others, but I mean that's what I got on my list. But Donovan McNabb got signed for a 12-year extension. Only played 8 of those 12, and they decided to move on to Michael Vick, my boy Michael Vick. Donovan McNabb didn't play all 12 years. Brett Favre ended up retiring, then coming out of retirement to play with the Jets, and then he played with the Vikings. So he didn't get to play out his full contract, Brett Favre. And then Dante Culpepper ended up retiring early. There's just a lot. Quarterbacks don't end up playing their whole entire contract when they sign a 10-year deal. But if we've seen in the past, Patrick Mahomes fights through he beats records, he breaks records, and he fights through adversity when it's like you know what I mean? He fought through the Madden curse. He won MVP in his first starting debut, like his first ever start. You know what I mean? For a full entire season. Now, you can say the same thing about Lamar Jackson, but Patrick Mahomes only played one game and then threw for 50 touchdowns. Lamar Jackson led his team to the playoffs the year before. You know what I mean? So right now, I think Patrick Mahomes has the better accomplishments here. You know what I mean? And the way he throws, he's done things that no other quarterback has done. You can look up a highlight reel of his play, and it's already minutes longer than a lot of other quarterbacks. You know what I mean? He does the no look. He does the left hand. He does it behind his back. What's next? Underneath the leg? You know what I mean? So, Patrick Mahomes is insane. His arm is the best in the NFL. I think it's better than Josh Allen. Screw Madden 21. How do you not have Patrick Mahomes as the stronger arm? You know what I mean? Screw Madden 21. So, Patrick Mahomes for 10 years. How is he going to play all 10 years? I hope so. I mean, he's fought through the Madden curse. And it's really, really rare for an NFL player to fight through the Madden curse. It really is. Well, I mean, he still kind of got hit because he dislocated his knee, but he won the Super Bowl, so screw the Madden curse. So Patrick Mahomes, how's he going to do? I hope he plays all 10 years. And now they also, in the contract, there's a bunch of other things too, like ads and merchandise. He's going to get a bunch of money from that. But I feel if you look in the contract, 5 years, after 5 years during the contract, they're going to come back to the table and probably renegotiate. You know what I mean? Probably renegotiate for less money, or if they're even going to decide to continue. You know? So it's more of a 5-year contract plus a 10-year contract if they decide to keep going forward. You know what I mean? I hope Patrick Mahomes keeps up this great leadership. One of the best leaders in the NFL, best leading quarterbacks, like captains in the NFL. I put him up there with Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson. Man, he's one hell of a player. I condemn him for that, for so much. And I'm going to talk about this next episode, but that's why I'm extremely, extremely disappointed in Dak Prescott. That's why I'm just extremely disappointed in Dak Prescott. He wants to be paid, I believe, $40 million. He's not even worth $40 million. He's worth like 15. He's worth $15 million. Dak Prescott's. He's ruining his only good trait that you could say as a quarterback, which is his leadership. Nothing else I could say that great about Dak Prescott. He's nowhere near worth $40 million. We're gonna talk about that next episode, but we're talking about Patrick Mahomes. I'm glad he got his he got his money. He got paid. Congratulations to him, and he deserves it. He really does. He deserves it. All right, we're moving on. All right, moving on to our third set of news. Our third news topic of the day. Raheem Moser asks for a trade. Yep, I'm kind of disappointed that they couldn't get a deal done. He's being paid special teams money. He doesn't want to be paid special teams money. He wasn't asking for much. He was asking for at least minimum running backs money. He wasn't asking to be paid the most. He wanted to be paid at least minimum running back salary. And right now he's currently being paid special team salary, and he doesn't deserve that. When you run for 200 yards in the playoffs, you don't deserve special teams money. He's proven that he hasn't gotten injured. He doesn't have an injury-filled career. He deserves to be paid while he still has it in him. Because right now, this league is what you've done for me lately. That's how people pay other players. What have you done for me lately? What Raheem Moser has done lately is run for 200 yards in the playoffs and lead his team to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And I just don't see a scenario where they don't pay him. You know what I mean? How could you not give him a raise? He deserves it. When you run for 200 yards in the playoffs in a game, come on, pay him. Just pay him. I just don't see how they can just give him a little bit of a raise. At least pay him a minimum running backs money. It's just insulting when you leave him as special teams money. And I'm sure teams will want to trade for him. Speaking of teams that want to trade for him, let's go to 5 teams I could see trading for him. Okay, number 5. This isn't a team that's going to trade for him because he's already with the 49ers. I could see him staying with the 49ers. I should have said like scenarios, which teams he could have gone to instead of trade, because the 49ers can't trade for Raheem Moser when he's already with the 49ers. But whatever, you know what I mean? I feel like he could stay with the 49ers. I think it's a good scenario. I could see that happening. But it seems like the 49ers are stubborn. They don't want to give him running backs money when instead they're paying him with special teams money. Because right now, currently on their roster, they lost Matt Breida, which I think is a blow to the 49ers, but they didn't use him later on in the year as much. But now they also got Tevin Coleman, who's good, but he's not a solid starting running back. I feel like he's a solid second-string running back. Then they're getting Jerick McKinnon, who I'm a big fan of. I think he's still I'm seeing his practice workouts and his training to recovery, because he's been out for 2 years. Goddamn, I hope this man comes back and comes back to the NFL, because I liked him with the Vikings. I think it was pretty solid. It's insane the amount of times he's gotten injured. Who knows if he's going to stay healthy? Maybe he will. I hope he does. He looks pretty good in recovery. He doesn't look as elusive as he used to be, but I think they could still use it. I feel like they could still use I feel like they could still use Jerick McKinnon. Sorry, all these names, man. I think they could still use him, but they're missing. I feel like if they end up trading away Raheem Moser, they're gonna really miss him. Like, he averaged, I think he was the lead running back in average per yard. Sorry, man. Can't talk today, can I? Yeah, he was the leading running back in the whole NFL averaging in yards. He averaged 5.6 per yards, which is insane. And he ended up running for about 700 yards. Man, it's gonna be a really big blow if they don't end up re-signing him. And hopefully they end up getting the deal done and they end up re-signing him. But that's one scenario. Not re-signing him, paying him the money, because right now he wants to be traded. And I could see a lot of teams trading for him. And speaking of another team I could see trading for him is the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, I know they drafted J.K. Dobbins, and I think they drafted a running back. The Ravens currently drafted a running back, I believe, to replace Mark Ingram, but I think they could go for a guy that's really fast as well, because Raheem Moser is one of the fastest running backs in the league, and that's one of his good traits. He can find the holes, and he can burst for multiple yards. He's one of the better running backs in the league right now due to his speed and his elusiveness, and his ball carrier vision is also a big plus too. So Raheem Moser is probably going to be better than last year, because he's improved year after year after year. He doesn't have an injury problem throughout his whole career. He hasn't had an injury problem, and the starting running back right now, Mark Ingram, had an injury problem, which probably weakened their chance. Is one of the reasons why the Ravens do so well in the playoffs because Mark Ingram was injured. Now, they do have Justice Hill, who I like as their third-string running back, but I feel like Raheem Mostert and Mark Ingram could be a pretty good running back duo for the Ravens. I feel like the Ravens could trade for him. I really see that happening, and I feel like it's a perfect fit for the Ravens, and especially if they want to heir to Mark Ingram, or if they don't trust that Mark Ingram can stay healthy for a whole entire NFL season. But I don't think Mark Ingram's going to go anywhere. I'm not sure if Raheem Mostert is going to be a starting running back if he goes to the Baltimore Ravens, but I could really honestly see him going to the Ravens. But I could see him trading for him. And another team I could see trading for him is my team, the Philadelphia Eagles. I could see Raheem Mostert going to the Eagles, because they're missing a Jordan Howard third string power. Like they usually run with 3 running backs. You know what I mean? They're missing that third string running back. I don't know if Elijah Holyfield will be the answer for the Eagles as their third running back option, but I'm not sure if that specifically is the answer. So if you look at 2017, you had LeGarrette Blount, Corey Clement, and Jay Ajayi. All 3 of those guys, they were all the 3 starting running backs. And then 2018, you have Wendell Smallwood, Josh Adams, and Darren Sproles. And then you have 2019, you had Boston Scott and Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard. Usually they typically use 3. Like they use Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders. So they always have 3 set of running backs. Now, I feel like if they have a guy like Raheem Mostert, they would go ballistic. They got Boston Scott, they got Raheem Mostert, and then they got Miles Sanders. All 3 of them can catch. All 3 of them can run down the field for a ton of yards. They would be amazing. And I really see a scenario where they could trade for him. If they trade for Raheem Mostert, who averaged 5.6 yards, with a good offensive line, because our offensive system is really similar to the 49ers system. And the way that we're using their tactics for going into next year. So Raheem Mostert would fit perfectly with our system, with our amazing offensive line. And now that we have Jason Peters back, which was our next news topic, sorry, spoiler alert. Now that we have Jason Peters back, we got a pretty decent offensive line now. I feel like Raheem Mostert would do pretty good with the Eagles, and he would be our third set running back. And that's kind of what they had at the 49ers too. They had Telvin Coleman, Matt Breida, then Raheem Mostert. If he comes to here, then we'll have Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Raheem Mostert. I mean, it's just a match made in heaven. You know, I hope he comes to the Eagles. I could see that as an option. They seem like they're kind of interested in that possibility. They seem interested. Will it happen? I hope so, because he's really not that much money, and what he's asking for is not a lot. So I don't see a scenario where the 49ers don't give him, the Eagles don't trade for him. Sorry, I don't see a scenario where it's not in the possibility of trading for him, because he's being paid special teams money. I'm sure they'll give him that raise because he's really not asking for a lot. I don't understand why the 49ers aren't giving him that raise. He wants to be paid minimum running back salary, and that's like, I believe, $8 million, at least $7 million. You know, it's like minimum salary for a running back, and he's really not asking for a lot. And to be quite honest, I think he deserves to be paid more. He does. He's 28. Who knows how much longer he'll have in the NFL? Hopefully, he'll have at least like another 5 to 6 years. 6 to 5 years. You know what I mean? But I do see a scenario where the Eagles could trade for him. Another a team that I really, really see trading for him is the Buccaneers. I absolutely do not believe in Ronald Jones, the Buccaneers running back. I do not believe in him. I don't understand how he hasn't had that breakout role yet. Even last year he did average a lot of yards, but it wasn't in critical situations like Raheem Mostert was in. If they have Raheem Mostert, they could give Tom Brady a little bit of a break, and he'll run for a ton of yards. So I could see the Buccaneers possibly trading for him as well, because I don't like Ronald Jones at all. I think his time is up. Time for him to go. I mean, maybe they'll give him another year. But I think that's another one where I really believe that if they have Raheem Mostert, the Buccaneers, they're pretty much elite on all accounts. It's just we'll see how Tom Brady will perform at Tampa Bay with a new system. But that's besides the point. Raheem Mostert, that's another one I really can see happening. And the final team, the team I think will happen, this will most likely happen. Like if I see any team, I will most likely see this team. I could see the Chicago Bears trading for Raheem Mostert. Now, do I believe he'll be the starting running back? Most likely, yes. It'll probably be a competition between David Montgomery and Raheem Mostert. I'm sure Raheem Mostert will win out the job. I'm not sure if they want to have him as a second string behind David Montgomery, but they'll be perfect if they have Raheem Mostert. It just will. Tariq Cohen is good, but he's not a starting running back. He's going to be like a Darren Sproles for like his whole NFL career, which is fine, but they do need a number one guy. They do need a number one guy, and Tariq Cohen isn't the number one guy. I'm not even sure if David Montgomery is, because he was just okay. He wasn't, oh my God, or anything. He reminds me of a less talented version of Jordan Howard. But if they had Raheem Mostert, they'll be great. They will be great. They got Nick Foles. You got Raheem Mostert. You got Allen Robinson. It'll give another option to throw to, because Nick Foles likes throwing to running backs that have good hands. You know what I mean? Because he likes throwing to his check down option. So I could see Raheem Mostert going to the Chicago Bears. I feel like that's most likely option if the 49ers doesn't give Raheem Mostert that raise that he's asking for, which is really not a lot. He's asking for minimum running back salary, which is like just about average. You know what I mean? So I just don't see why they couldn't pay him, but I feel like the Bears would trade for him, and I think they would pay him that money that he deserves. And yeah, I think that's another one where I really see that one happening. And he'll be the starter most likely for the Bears franchise for the next like 3 or 4 years, But yeah, so it's a shame that Raheem Mostert is being traded away, or he's requesting for a trade. But I think something will work out, because he deserves it. He deserves it, and it's a shame, but hey, what are you gonna do? All right, and our final news topic of the day: Jason Peters returns to the Philadelphia Eagles, but not as a left tackle, but as a right guard. Replace the injured Brandon Brooks. Now, this was one of the scenarios. If you look back to a couple videos ago, I saw this being as one of the scenarios. Picking up Jason Peters, putting him as right guard. Now, how do I feel about this? It's not bad. I feel like he could I feel like he would play as good as Matt Pryor would play. Matt Pryor is pretty good depth. I really was hoping to get Kyle Long out of retirement, but I love Jason Peters. He's gonna go into the Hall of Fame, no doubt about that. He was the best, one of the best left tackles in NFL history. I like that he's back with Philly. He still got a lot left in him. He wasn't great last year in left tackle, but he wasn't bad at all. He still got it in him. He still has it in him. He's better than a lot of left tackles currently in the NFL right now. And he's switched positions before. He started out as right end in college, then switched to tight end in college, and then when he came to the NFL, he switched to left tackle, and then he became one of the best left tackles of all time, and most certainly going to be in the Eagles Hall of Fame. No doubt about that. Jason Peters is a legend. He's a stud. I'm glad he's back with Philadelphia, but how is he going to move to the transition to right guard? I mean, he switched positions multiple times throughout his football career. I think in high school, I'm not sure if he was a right end in high school. I think he was a defensive tackle. I don't know. He switched multiple positions. He started off on defense, Then he moved to tight end, and then he moved to left tackle. So How is Jason Peters going to do with the switch? I mean, he's done switches basically his whole football career. I think he'll adjust to it. I think he'll be okay. And I'm excited to have JP back. Seeing 71 back on the field, it's great. I think I would have preferred Matt Pryor most likely because I feel like Matt Pryor is a pretty solid option. But Jason Peters, I'm not jinxing him or anything, but every year he gets injured for at least a game or two. It's been a repeat constantly for the past 3 years. Keeps on getting injured for at least a couple of games or for the whole NFL season, like in 2017. But he keeps constantly getting injured. So Matt Pryor will probably come in for a couple of games. And Matt Pryor was pretty good. But he was kind of unproven. And I understand the Jason Peters move. I would have preferred Kyle Long. But I honestly, I could live with this option. I could live with bringing back JP and seeing how he'll play. It's kind of an interesting scenario going into next year. We'll see how the Eagles handle the situation. We'll see how he'll handle being at right guard. And if Andre Dillard doesn't end up doing so well, I'm sure they're going to probably put Jason Peters back at left tackle. But I think Andre Dillard will be pretty good. I think he's a good successor to Jason Peters. But that's besides the point. Jason Peters coming back to Philly. I love it. I'm excited to see him back for probably his last year in the NFL. And it'll be probably a good farewell season to Jason Peters. All right, moving to our episode segment. Today's episode segment is the What If segment. And what if we theorize of what would have happened if a certain scenario happened differently. In this episode, we're going to be talking about Jamarcus Russell, the biggest bust in NFL history, and we're going to be talking about Jimmy Garoppolo. And there's a couple scenarios we got coming to this episode of What If. So, that being said, what if? Hey, our first what if of today. What if Jamarcus Russell wasn't lazy? The reason for his failure of being in the NFL is due to him being lazy. He gained weight. He didn't practice. Didn't read the playbook. He was basically a bum. I feel like he should have been given another chance to play with a different team because he really looked. I felt bad for him. If I was an NFL owner, I would have given him a chance to be an NFL backup, possibly an NFL player. I don't know. He was really, really good in LSU. Oh wow, that's the same college that Joe Burrow went to. Another number one pick. Joe Burrow was number one. Jamarcus Russell was number one. They both played really, really good in LSU. Then they went to the NFL and they sucked. Hopefully that doesn't happen to Joe Burrow. Anyway, all right. I don't want to jinx Joe Burrow. Jamarcus Russell was really, really good in LSU. I gotta say, Jamarcus Russell's arm is one of the greatest arms I've ever seen. I would say it's even better than Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he never moved. Like, he could stay in place and throw at least, 90 yards down the field. That's insane because typically quarterbacks have to move. They got to launch their arm. He'll just, a regular throw for him is just, 90 yards. That's incredible. People were calling him, the Brett Favre with Michael Vick's legs. I saw a lot of similarities to Dante Culpepper, to be honest with you. But the main reason for his failure was him being lazy. He gained weight. He didn't practice. I don't know why he wouldn't do that. All that fame got to his head. He partied and stuff, and it's a shame. I think his brother died too, or something. I think a family member died too. But people said even after that, even before that, he was still kind of lazy. The way he read defenses, he was just all out lazy. So he didn't. What would have happened if he wasn't lazy? I feel like he would have been the Patrick Mahomes of our time. I think he would have probably made it to the Hall of Fame. I think he would have had the same trajectory as Patrick Mahomes did. He has a cannon of an arm, and it seemed like he had really good control of it in college. But once he got into the NFL, it's like he lost control of his arm. He lost control of his accuracy. He just flat out missed throws. He wasn't clutch. He wasn't high motor. It's like he was like Brett Favre, but at least Brett Favre tried. It seemed like he didn't even try on the field. It was just like, I'm going to throw it out here. Oh, I got intercepted. Okay. Oh, I missed. Oh, wait, whatever. Let's move on. Even his highlights for touchdowns are so small. And the touchdowns that I saw, he looked like he didn't even care. I don't know. But I felt bad for him. I probably would have given him another chance to at least back up somewhere. I think that he was at a Patriots training camp or something. He's kind of. We're all kind of done with Jamarcus Russell. But what would have happened if he wasn't lazy? I think he would have been like the Patrick Mahomes of his time. Would have been throwing no looks behind the back with the left hand. I think if he really tried, he could have been something incredible, something amazing to see in the NFL. He had one of the best arms of all time, and he had pretty good legs. So I think if he really tried, I think he could have been one of the best quarterbacks of all time. But unfortunately, he didn't, and we're led to him being one of the biggest busts in NFL history. But I think if he really wasn't lazy, he could have been a Patrick Mahomes. So the what-if scenario today, our first one, is Jamarcus Russell would have been a Hall of Fame quarterback. And our second scenario of the day is, what if Jimmy Garoppolo never got traded to the 49ers? What Tom Brady did instead? Jimmy Garoppolo, he probably would have beaten the Eagles, and he probably would have won the Super Bowl with the Rams. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo currently would have had a really, really great career with New England, and that's why Bill Belichick wanted to trade him away. Now, currently, Jarrett Stidham versus Jimmy Garoppolo, that one's kind of tough. I don't know. I feel like they're both different quarterbacks. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, he didn't remind me of Tom Brady, but Jarrett Stidham reminds me a lot of Tom Brady with legs, like that can actually move really pretty good. You know what I mean? I'm a pretty big advocate for for Jarrett Stidham. Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he would have had a good career with New England. I don't know if he would have lived up to Tom Brady standards. Maybe he would. Because he probably would have won the Super Bowl with the Rams when he was with the Eagles. I think he would have beaten out the Eagles, and then I think he would have beaten out the Rams a lot easier than Tom Brady did. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo would probably have a similar trajectory that Tom Brady did, because he fit the system pretty well. So when he was with New England, he pretty much fit really well with the system. I think they should have never traded away Jimmy Garoppolo, but Tom Brady had to meddle into things, and that's why he ended up never getting traded. All right. So what if scenario? I think Jimmy Garoppolo probably would have had at least 2 Super Bowls right now, and maybe would have gotten 2 more later on in his career. I think all in all, I could see him winning like 4 Super Bowls if he was still with the Patriots. All right, that's all we got for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a quick, easy episode. I'm going to be posting really soon. Episode 15 will be coming out probably in the next couple of days after this episode has been uploaded. Maybe 4 days. You could be seeing episode 15 coming up real soon. All right, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was fun to make, as always. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next one.